Hey everybody, Wendy Clinky with Blue Cat Studio. It is day, I don't know, what, 7 of the Advent Ornament Challenge. So I just wanted to quickly kind of slide some of the existing ornaments under the camera. Woohoo! Those are the first 6 we've done. And today we're going to do a, see if I can say it right, saguaro cactus. So if you have got ornaments, great. If not, go ahead and draw a circle on a piece of paper. Cardstock is awesome, and color inside it. We can keep this super low tech, right? No pressure. We're here to have fun. We're here to do pretty stuff. Okay, so we're going to use a pretty wild and crazy color palette today. And if you missed the live, I actually did a whole section on how to develop the color palette. So what we want to do is create like a sunsetty feeling, and then we're going to do a saguaro cactus right up in here. So we'll begin with the neons. I have my neon pink, sizzling pink. You can't draw a circle, so you don't have to draw a circle. I trace. You can use a jar lid. Ta-da! This was like a kimchi lid or something. I don't know, something like that. Or, you know, an oval or a square. You can do whatever. Okay, so we have the hot pink and hot orange. And then we're also going to squeeze some white out onto the palette. Will a chicken work? Maybe. Yeah, sure. You could do a cactus inside a chicken. But I suspect you're messing with me. And it's all good. Okay. So we want to create a sunset effect. So we'll begin by grabbing a hunk of this orangey color, a hunk of the pink, and mixing it together to create a very intense color that looks like a fluorescent red. Hopefully you can kind of see the difference there. I love this one. And we will kind of get that right in this zone here. Now this is wood, so it is just sucking up all the liquid inside from the paint. So actually I'll just do the whole thing because we're not really shifting the color dramatically. Now if you already have your wood ornaments, as a reminder, tape it to like a piece of cardboard or something. That way you're not sitting here like all funky trying to hold the thing down, and you know, it's very awkward. Much easier to just tape it. And so I did a little tape loop on the bottom half. And oh, what I'm trying to say, man, you guys, whoosh. All right, tape loop on the bottom half, and obviously this thing up top here. So we've basically coated it. I don't have to have perfect evenness because I'm going to then come in and grab some of this white. I'm going to work my way from the bottom kind of up, starting to create a little bit of a blend. So starting at the bottom and just kind of going slowly here. All right, that actually went awfully quickly. I'm happy. And I'm going to come back in for a second coat of, so what I just did, I didn't rinse, I just wiped the excess paint off my brush. I'm going to come back in for a second coat of that really bright neon color. If you don't have neons, you can, of course, always simplify, simplify, simplify. One of the colors that we were playing with earlier on a live when talking about concept and color development was like a cactus flower pink, or something that's got, it's like a pink, but it's kind of got like a corally tone to it. So I think we've got a good blend right there. I might add just a pinch more white to the bottom to just lighten it up a little tiny bit, just right in here. Okay, just working back and forth, trying to maintain a fairly even stroke. There we go. And down here, we're going to actually have a base in, so it's not a big deal if it's not perfect. And we'll blow dry it because we're going to come on top of this with some green. And I want it really dry so that those pink tones don't bleed through. If they show through, that's fine for the first coat, but we don't want them bleeding and blending with the green. That just gets muddy. So So I recently discovered this super fun color. I love it. It's called Irish Moss. Hey there, Marta. How's it going? Thanks for joining. Hopefully this view is better. Let me see if I can raise my table up even more. Oop! Did I break something? Nope. Hold on. Up, 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 up. There we go. So that way you can kind of really see the details, because we got some feedback last night. Okay, so I'm sidetracked, but hey, Irish Moss, we'll squeeze that on. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous color. Look at the intensity there. It's kind of like a spring or grass green, but with a little extra pop. Now, ooh, that needs shaking. Gosh darn it. If you don't have that color, one of the other popular ones that folks often have, like from Michael's or even Walmart, is like the Craft Smart Apple Tart. That one is pretty good. Yeah, I would add just a touch of, this one has like almost like a little bit of brown and extra yellow in it. It's a bit warmer. So this one is separating, so I needed to grab extra. Okay, so we're going to just kind of hand jam a cactus here. And I'm going to take a little bit of white and mix it with my green just for opacity so that it doesn't show through as much. And we'll begin in the center, just kind of creating a pickle, a skinny pickle. It looks like a pickle. It's pickle green. We were totally laughing about that in the last live I did earlier. So you can kind of start with almost like a straight line down the center and then just kind of create a little bit of curvature on the top and a little bit wider at the top, and then allowing it to kind of narrow down. Now we're also going to have I'm going to just sketch this in green so we know it's there. That won't be the end color, but kind of a little horizon line. Now this is coming in very, very bright. It's not quite as bright in real life, but this is also a base coat. So now let's get the arms on our little cactus guy. And this was my inspiration. Oops. That's just like a wooden paintable thing from the Dollar Tree. So let's begin here kind of a little bit below midpoint, and then kind of just bring it up and make like a backwards L. Brings up the whole, like, reminds me of a conversation that was had in my household the other day with teenage children who were putting their thumbs and forefingers up to their foreheads and trying to decide if the L for loser was forward facing or backwards facing. Yes, we have very stimulating conversation around here. All right, so you're basically just doing a couple of L's coming out of our saguaro. This is super bright. Whew! And that's cool, right? We like bright. Well, I like bright. I got a couple of spots showing through. I'm just going to give a little extra coverage. Not so focused on this portion down here. That was more than anything just to sketch it in and kind of give it a little bit of grounding. Oh, hi, kitty. You better not get up here. I'm going to blow dry this so I can come in with it or come on over it with a second layer and get it a little bit brighter. Okie dokie. Since I've got the lightish green on my brush, I'm going to offload. I'm not rinsing. I'm just wiping it on a piece of junk mail. Now coming in directly with the Irish moss. And we'll get I'll say 2/3 of it sort of from the left side to just a bit right of middle. Oh, come over here and get some. Hopefully everybody can see that okay. All right, so it's adding a little bit of layer. It's still hard to tell. This light is not that much lighter than this, but we're starting to build layers of color, which is kind of one of my favorite things to do. And since we have a sunset feeling, we're going to begin to add some shadows and depth to this. And also, as I blow dry it, the color difference starts to show a little bit better. Oh gosh, I almost put my dryer in a big tub of wet paint. So let me bring this up to one camera so you can kind of see the difference starting to form. And then here you can kind of see the difference starting to form. So from here, we're going to grab Mermaid Tail Teal. If you can't find it in the store, it's because I bought them all out. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorites. I'm using like a lot of my favorites. I got a lot of favorites, so I always, I often will call something my favorite at the time because I really, really love it. But it's kind of like having children. You don't just like love one, you love them all. So pulling a little bit of that Irish moss green out and then a bit of the mermaid tail teal and blending them together. Look at that beautiful, beautiful rich green. That is almost like a festive green from Deco Art Americana. You could use festive green if you don't have these guys. And we're going to just kind of bring, not quite halfway, but we're going to kind of just take a stripe right down the side of that cactus. And then we'll do another one on each of the arms. I'm kind of having the right side be the dark or the brighter side and the left side being the darker side. Folks over here in online paint night, I think I flipped the camera so that you actually see the letters the right way versus it being backwards. Sometimes I have a little trouble with that. So if you're seeing this backwards, it's okay if you do it backwards. Really, the whole point is you want to kind of take a side and be like, all right, here's my light side, here's my dark side, and that's just kind of where we're at. So Marta says she has used apple tart and loves it. Yeah, it is so pretty. Okay, so now we've kind of built a little bit of layer. It's starting to look round. I will offload my paint just so that I don't have excess amounts of green. And I'm going to come, let's see if we can, you know what? Actually, I'm going to grab some more of that mermaid tail and mix it in. So you can also use like a peacock teal or a folk art dark teal or just teal. They're also very nice. Okay, so I added that dark teal to the pre-mixed bit, and I'm going to just kind of come down here and add a little bit more, one more stripe. So we want each of these stripes to overlap, but allow the other stuff to show. Now it's really starting to kind of come together there. Maybe a little extra darkness around the base just to kind of hold it up. Maybe a tiny little darkness in the armpit zone. I mean, there's armpits, right? They look like armpits to me. I'm not sure what to call them. Yeah, isn't that crazy, Marta? It is already looking dimensional just by doing the layers upon layers. So again, offloading my paint. And if you're just joining me for the very first time, I use the word offloading my paint every single time I do one of these videos because I have like a huge journaly, junk mail thing. And I'm literally just wipe my paintbrush off. Every so often we do rinse. But if I don't have to rinse, why should I? So now I'm going to try with a little bit of the mermaid tail teal here and see if I can just get a tiny edge, just a pinch. It's kind of hard to see. I'm not sure it's really showing. It's very, very subtle. But you could do just like a couple of kisses of mermaid tail here and there. I'm trying not to get this thing too thick. It's a little bit of work to get in this zone here. All right, so offloading. And now let's create, we had our hot pink, right? Let's get crazy here. We're going to take some hot pink, take a blob over here. And I moved it over here by the mermaid tail teal because we're going to grab a little bit of mermaid tail. We're going to mix those suckers together. And oh my gosh, we got a gorgeous purple, didn't we? Oh, Marta says you're creating beautiful ornaments. I love them. Thank you. Thank you. This is the first time I've done one of these challenges and hosted one. And I don't know, I'm having so much fun. And I love that you guys are having fun and joining me and doing them along with me. And even if you're not doing them real time, which honestly is probably kind of hard to do, I've seen a lot of folks posting their ornaments, and it just makes my day to see you guys like also doing such beautiful work and having such a good time with it. Okay, so we just kind of covered that green base with a purple, and I feel like that adds sort of a sense of gravity and some grounding. And it, as weird as it seems, because I imagine where the saguaro cactus grows, it's a little bit mountainous, so it's okay if it kind of creeps up the sides a little here and there. I'm going to take some of that purple that we just mixed and bring a little bit in right along the edge. And I'm using a small round brush. It's not a tiny round brush. It's not even a liner brush. I'm going to just kiss some of the edges here, get a little bit of that depth, maybe cap the top there a little bit. And purple's kind of one of these amazing colors, especially when you mix it with some of your existing colors. It just adds a beautiful subtle shadow. And in fact, if you want to see the whole design process and kind of how and the thought process behind coming up with this, I just did a video on my page called Technique Tuesday, or Tech Tuesday for short, where we actually kind of walked through and created like a color palette and showed how the stuff went together. And so in fact, we changed our minds about some of the colors based on creating the color palette. But this event is really mostly about just getting it done. Okay, so we've added that purple shading just to give it a little something. In fact, I want just a pinch more here. I might be covering some of my mermaid tail, but that's okay. Just want that little bit of gravity here, a little bit of gravity, especially in the bends, in the elbows and the armpits. A little bit in the elbow here. Or is that the armpit and that the elbow? No, those are the armpits, those are the shoulders and elbow. I don't know. You have to come up with good names for them. Okay, so Marta wants to know, am I placing my ornaments like in a special tree or a special place? I have a board that I am planning to put together and maybe add some hooks to and paint up. I will be honest, I have been completely slammed this weekend when I was hoping to actually get the development done. Go ahead and offload your brush, get rid of the excess paint, rinse it, break out the blow dryer. So yes, I'm hoping to come up with like a cool design or a board where we can hang all these. I have all these really cool hooks that I bought from Amazon, of course, during the pandemic, because I was like, oh, I can make these cool boards where we can hang all your masks, and I have all the materials in my basement or in my workshop. So I was like, well, let's do the thing. So I think there's a number of different ways to build one out. I'm hoping to get a little bit of bandwidth freed up to kind of continue that design or work on that a little bit. Okay, so I feel like our cactus is good. Now we're going to go ahead and add the twinkle lights because we want it to be Christmassy. Oh, I'm so tempted to cheat and use my permanent marker. If you want to cheat and use a permanent marker, let's do it, right? Because it'll be actually a cleaner line. Just make sure that your stuff is totally dry. I might need just a little bit more of a blast here. Okay. So when you're doing the twinkle light string, simplicity is king, okay? I'm gonna show this. I showed it one other time and it's superbly embarrassing. But if you do too much light string, it's going to look like Pigpen from Peanuts. I mean, look at how busy that is. Because I was like, oh, we're gonna twist the string and it's gonna be all over the place and blah, 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 and it looked awful. So simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. All right, so I have my reference here because of course I do like a million drafts of this to get it right. I don't want to give you something half baked. So we'll start here and I'm going to kind of come low and wrap around behind. And it's going to do like a simple loop, bloop, like so around the cactus. Yep, kind of pushing here. And then I'm going to take it over the top, down low. Okay, it's going to loop around like so. Come around down here. And yeah, I'm kind of giving it some space. Trying not to have the twinkle lights be too tight in on the cactus. Oops, I got a little funky right there. Let me tweak that. Like so, and where was I? And then maybe just have it kind of come down and bloop, stop there. Very, very simple. Now, I also tend to go a little extra on the lights. Even my last draft, I got a little extra on the lights. If you're a little extra like me, work with me here. Okay, so a couple of rules of thumb. When you are doing a light string, especially if it's going around a curve, you want the lights, can you see that? Everybody can see that? On the outside. So if you have them on the inside, look at that. They all bunch together. Does that make sense? I hope so. Also, I place those very close together. So I'm using the marker here just to create like little dots. And that's the neck of the light. And just quick demo. And then I'll put a light on top like that. That's kind of how I personally like to quickly form a twinkle light. And in my world, these are not the mini lights that are all modern. These are the old school ones that either we or our parents hung on the, on the eaves of the house back when, you owned the same set of twinkle lights for donkey's years instead of like 2 years, and then bought all new ones. Back in the days before we had all the cool stuff. Okay. So just little dots here and there. Again, okay, I have a crowded zone here. So I'm going to kind of put one here. And they don't have to be even. So don't get all OCD on me, you guys. Just the occasional dot here. All right, I'm getting extra. I can feel it. I'll have one here, and one here. Okay. So that should be enough. Like, if you want to go hog wild and do like a whole bajillion of them, like, by all means, go for it. But it starts to get a bit busy when you get a little too extra. Just saying. So I'm going to just blow dry that permanent marker a little bit. If you have a paint pen, you can use a paint pen. If you want to use a brush, go for it. I don't know. I feel like today I was like, we do not need a paintbrush. We're gonna keep it simple. Okay. So we're going to stick with red, yellow, and blue ornaments. Maybe mix a green, depends. I feel like we've got a lot of green here. So maybe red, yellow, and blue will really be sufficient. So we'll start with the red. So we got that Christmassy feel. I'm grabbing a Tuscan red. Now this Tuscan red is a little bit too shadowy for me. And I only have the tiniest drop. So what I like to do to pop that sucker to where it needs to be is maybe grab a little bit of fluorescent orange and mix it together. Wait for it, my friends. It's, and a little bit more. And that is just going to kind of brighten it up and warm it up a little bit. Let's see if we can add some hot pink to it too. Let's see. Oh yeah, you know what? Hot pink is even better. Do the hot pink, not the fluorescent orange. Because the hot pink has still got a touch of the blue tone in it, so it doesn't get quite so clashy and muddy. All right, so that's a whole lot of paint. I need like 3 dips, then I'm done. Again, you can also just go with a different red, but sometimes I struggle to find a red that really makes me happy, and so I often will mix a little bit. Okay, so once you have your brush, you're going to just kind of gently place the tip down a little bit away and then kind of drop it to make those lights. Now, I think that the red looks really good on the light green because it shows. And so I'm going to kind of make sure that most of the red lights are definitely on the green. I'm going to try and angle them a little bit here and there so that they kind of make sense and they don't just look like I'm creating like a pattern. Boop, 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 boop. And then maybe we'll do one red one on the light pink down over here. So I'm thinking, like, it's crazy, but when you're doing lights like this, I mean, our instinct is to just kind of go with like what's random and whatever. But this red on this orange is not going to show up real well. Look at my brush. Can you even see it? It really, it blends. It blends real well. Okay, so offloading the excess paint, rinsing, and I always offload just because it's less pigment down my drain. Okay, next up, you're going to grab a nice bright blue. I actually have a blue that's darn near the same as painter's tape. Ha ha! It is called Crisp Blue from Deco Art. I just picked this up. Look at it. It's like totally like painter's tape blue. I would like somebody to please hire me to name paints. I would come up with the dumbest names that would make me laugh. This is Pickle Green. This is Painter's Tape Blue. This is Makes Me Happy Fluorescent Red. Okay, we're good. Thank you. Okay, bye, thanks. All right, let's get some of the blue. So I think the blue will look pretty good up here in the hot orange. So we'll get a couple of those placed, especially when we kind of want to keep the blue away from the green. I'll put one in here. But I think the blue is overall so here's a spot right here that's not red. I'm gonna have to put something else there, maybe a yellow. I could put a blue here. So when I was growing up, my twinkle lights were never exactly perfect. So these aren't exactly perfect either. So again, do your best to contain your OCD. If you're like, oh my gosh, you're supposed to alternate them, you can do that. But then sometimes what happens is you get kind of like, you know, a blue on green and you can't see it, and it just becomes a little, well, it frustrates me anyway. I'm gonna have to amp up my, what is on my, oh, paint, where did that come from? I'm gonna have to amp up this red a little bit later. I might even just add hot pink on top. I don't know. Oh, yellow. We got to get some yellow. So grabbing some yellow. This is Canary from Anita's. It's my second favorite yellow. My first favorite is called Daffodil from Folk Art, and it's very, very similar. This is because it's got that very bright lemony yellow intensity. That's just shy of fluorescent, but not fluorescent. It's a little bit, it's not quite as high performance as the Folk Art. The Folk Art is a beautiful, thick, gooky stuff. Now, I don't know if you just saw that. I mixed yellow and white together because yellow is like the worst pigment on the planet. Like it's so see-through. So adding some white is gonna make it less see-through. So we'll do a little yellow bulb there, and that shows up nicely. Guess I'm gonna have two side-by-side yellow bulbs. It's okay. We can always change our mind and like make it another color. I'll do a yellow bulb here. Just kind of plop them in. And again, I offer this as a design idea. If you are feeling like you've got different concepts for colors, by all means, go for it. My hope is to inspire you and get you excited about making a cool Christmas ornament or many ornaments or advent calendar. Again, I'm hoping to get that sorted out. All right, so this red here is kind of light. I'm going to put a little bit of the yellow on top of it, blast it. Actually, I'm going to cover all of these reds here with a little yellow, blast it, and then come back over it with a red because it's picking up too much of the green from underneath and we can't see it. And by giving it a warm base, almost like a primer, like if you're painting a house, that's going to make that red, when I come back over it, pop. That purple I did is really, really dark. I'm surprised. So you could also just get straight up like bottle purple. If you're going to do that, a dioxazine, or even better yet, a plum, or you would add a little bit of like a pink or a intense red to your dioxazine, because that's a bit more of a blue violet. Oh, hi, animal. I got cats coming to say hi. Okay, look at that. Now those reds pop because of that little yellow under base. Much better. Sometimes you got to do it wrong to figure out how to do it right. Right? Okay, cool. All right, one more blast, and then we're going to add some highlights. So if you have a super skinny liner brush or detail brush or something like that, get it now. Break it out. If you don't, never fear. A toothpick or a skewer will work wonders. The only downside to a toothpick or a skewer is that it holds so little paint that you're going to be spending a lot of time dipping back in the paint. However, the bristles it has no bristles. So, you know, it'll be much easier to keep your line kind of the same size, and it's not going to, they won't splay. Whereas this guy, if I mess with it, the bristles will splay. Oh, cat, don't you dare. He's coming up here. He wants to visit us. All right. Just hold my breath while I see. Okay, so a couple things. I'm sorry. I'm watching him like sniffing everything. I'm going to add a little bit of white line on top of, and here's where these teeny tiny liner brushes are kind of amazing. Let me rotate here so you guys can see, and I'm not like just blocking it all with my hands. Apologies. So we're not doing the whole thing, but we are trying to add kind of some definition here and there that, and you know, if you've got them crossing, you pick one and you let that be the cross. A little bit here. It just sort of deflattens the the twinkle light, the strand. And then we're going to add a little bit of a highlight to each of the bulbs so that they have that kind of glassy look. Now right here where you have the strand covering the very dark purple, that's a great place to put a little bit of the white highlight because then it kind of visually, sorry, online paint night folks, I keep blocking. Trying to figure out how to get like all the cameras so you can see. Alrighty. So now our strand kind of shows, and it's oddly enough, it's plugged into the ground because that totally makes sense, right? Absolutely. All right, now we're going to add just some little highlights on our lights. Kind of, if you can, make it like a little curve. I boffed that one, but it's okay. It's not really that important. And it makes them look kind of shiny. There we go. So the highlights aren't showing as well on the yellow, but that's okay. So definitely keeping the highlights kind of curvy. Let's see. Marta says, you're awesome explaining your whole idea and painting, and I love your creativity to name the paint colors. I'm so glad somebody will let me name paint colors. I seriously, and be like, hey, Lowe's, I don't want to work retail, but I want to name your paints. I'd like to be in charge of coming up with weird paint names. But I don't know. I think after a while, there's only so many names for gray, you know, before you're like, I'm done. Okay. So I feel like we're at a pretty good stopping point here. You know, when I'm drawing a cactus without twinkle lights, I'm adding all the prickles and whatnot. But again, unless you want this to look like Pigpen, you probably don't want to add the prickles. It's just going to become too visually busy. So I'm going to rinse my brush. And of course, we got to break out the gold like we do every single day and finish the top of this guy. And by the way, my daughter was like, Mom, please do a Christmas cactus. I'm like, okay. Now, it's not the same as like the Christmas cactus, you know, that we buy like, you know, in the grocery store. But I don't think she even knows about those. Oh, come on, gold paint. All right. It's being grouchy. So we'll just rip the lid off and grab some paint from in there and just kind of cover right across here. And this is the Deco Art Americana Extreme Sheen 24 karat gold. One of my faves. Use it all the time. Did you know what we don't have here? We don't have any glitter or anything. I don't know, you guys. What do you think? Oh, Cassie would like a list of the most used paints. Absolutely. In terms, especially for my inner circle folks, we are always using the gold. 24 karat. This stuff's amazing. We are often using the Mermaid Tail Teal just because it's such an incredible mixer. We are often using the Sizzling Pink or Neon Pink. Sorry, this one has rotten pumpkin juice on it. Don't ask. I realize that is really strange, but you know, sometimes life does that to you. Oh, let's see. Oh, and then the Daffodil Yellow I use all the time from Folk Art. I don't know if I have a version of it around. I do somewhere. I just don't know where it is because my stuff's all over the place. Oh, here it is. So Daffodil Yellow from Folk Art. These are some of my favorites. So, you know, there's, you know, if you think about like, you know, when you mix colors, some folks, there's like, oh yeah, it's red, yellow, blue. Those are the primaries. In my world and most of my color schemes, my primaries are actually, I'm really a CMYK person. C for cyan, M for magenta, Y for yellow. And then the other one that I use a ton, although I haven't used them on this, is the Quinacridone Magenta. Let me grab a tube of that. Here's my mama-sized version of it. Look at this guy. It's just pure gorgeousness. So what's showing up on the camera right up here is it's a little bit, it's much bluer than that, but it's very, very intense. It's kind of amazing. And it just does such great, you know, mixing. Like I took my mermaid tail and my magenta and I just made a rich, deep purple. Let's see if we can get some angle on that so you can kind of see. Well, here I'll add some white so you can see what that looks like. And if I had a way more magenta in there, the sky would actually be more of a plum. I know, I cannot help myself. So now adding some pink, and I love mixing colors. That's like, if I could just do that all day, well, I do it part of the day. But I find that bottle purple is never very satisfactory. So, ooh, you know, let's use some of that. I like a little bit of that pale purple in here to kind of, to Cassie it up, because we all know Cassie loves purple. So we're gonna add some purple for Cassie. A little bit more purple, a little less on the thing. All right. So I hope that was helpful, you guys. I love painting with you. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to just comment on this video or shoot me a text or whatever. Again, Wendy Klinke from Blue Cat Studio, and we are doing this Advent Ornament Challenge every single day from December 1st to December 25th. I have got all of these live on my page. I've also got them inside my personal group, or not my personal group, my free group, which is the Let's Paint with Blue Cat Studio. And of course, I make everything I do available to my members. So again, if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll see you tomorrow to do another fun ornament. Bye, guys. Love y'all. Let's see. Where's all the stop buttons? I gotta find all the stop buttons. Bye.